Welcome to Uncharted. I'm your host, Captain Kelly, and with me today is Victoria and Rico. You may better know these guys as NaughtiStyles, and I'm not gonna lie, I am in awe of what they do, what they've built, and how cool they are. To be honest with you, I've only met them a handful of times in person, but they're the kind of people that you're just drawn to. And to be even more honest, I learned of them about 4 years ago and really never even dreamed that I would be conversing with them. I guess kind of a bit of a fangirl moment, and I don't really fangirl, so a bit of a fangirl moment over here. So now Victoria and Rico are going to share a bit about what I am sure was an uncharted path to where they are today. So welcome, guys.
Oh, thanks for having us. That was a really sweet intro. Appreciate
keep going,
that.
keep going.
you just want to put that on repeat. Well, no, seriously. I mean, I learned who you guys were about 4 years ago, and then I looked and I saw like how big you guys were. And 4 years ago, I was just starting my journey in building, this personal brand and didn't even know what I was building. I was like, oh my God, these guys would never talk to me. These guys are so big. And that silly stuff you say. And then when I meet you in person, I was just like, oh my God, like your guys is just, you're just cool freaking people. And like I said, like just so drawn to you. And I mean, for you guys to come on here and be on my podcast, that's just like so freaking cool.
No,
So
we're
yeah.
thrilled. You and I, one time, it was Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, and I was walking like outside of the show somewhere, like, I don't know, running. I think I was running to get our credentials, and we were on the sidewalk, and you passed me, and I passed you, and I was like, oh, that was Captain Kelly. We've never met before. I was like, oh, I should say hi. And I was like, oh, she probably doesn't know who I am. And then it's just like, we walked by, and then we met like way later. And I like remember that moment, and I don't know, I guess both of us should have just said hi, but we just didn't. So yeah.
We should have. Isn't it silly that it's like the silly little things that we put in our mind is just so like, oh no, oh, they probably don't know who I am, or oh, they're probably too busy. It's like it's so dumb. Like you're right.
On the small industry, so it's in reality like it feels so big, but
True.
The industry we're in, it's pretty small, and especially kind of on the when you add that influencer thing to it, it's really, really small. It's a small circle. We all kind of know each other at this point. And yeah, I feel like now I will stop somebody. Now I'm like, it was just like, if you like someone, follow someone, like now I'm not that shy anymore. I'm like, hey, I love what you do.
I know, me too. It's totally taken me out of my box. And so when I see somebody, I'm like, hi, Yeah,
exactly.
Listen, give us some background. Like, first of all, where are you now? Because it's 9:30 in the morning for me, but I think it's 9:30 p.m. for you. So where are you?
Thailand,
exactly. Koh Samui, to be exact.
What are you doing there?
So actually filming some content for one of the ambassadorships we have with a company in Australia, V Marine. So we're doing some content there and having a little family time on the side. The thing with like this life is that you never have a vacation. Like nothing is ever a vacation. So it kind of like your life becomes your work and your work becomes your life.
Yep.
And that line is really blurred. And I feel like it's just, there's that Instagram versus reality moment, like just moment in life that everyone just think like, oh, it's all roses. But in reality, like you never have a vacation, you never take a break. So
I mean, it's still a nice life, but
it's nice. But and then you have this, so we kind of combining like family time with, sorry, I got to turn this thing off here. See, there you go. Yeah. But it's like combining, like my dad came to basically have his vacation and then we get to like work and see him. But yeah, that's just
I call it a lot of double dipping. Like
Yeah.
I went home a few months ago to give a talk at a university that was 45 minutes from my mom's house. And, I was kind of on the fence. Am I going to do it? Am I not? But then I was like, oh, it's 45 minutes from mom's, I could double dip, mom can come to the talk. And so you're right. I mean, I love my job, love my job, both jobs, because I have, the day job first, which is being a captain. And I love that. But then the brand, like you guys have, you're right. I mean, it's very intermingled, work and life, and you have to do a lot of double dipping. And I think that Obviously I'm passionate about mental health, and that's kind of, the name of the game with my podcast. But um, you have to be careful, because that, how do you find that family time? How do you find that time for yourself? Because it's like, you guys are always on, you know.
Always working, always traveling, and like Rico said, it's fun, but at the same time it's like there's crazy deadlines. Like we have, I think we rolled over what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to say what we did, but we have a couple of YouTube channels.
Yeah.
So like this keeps me, like, there is a deadline every Saturday. We have only missed one Saturday in 4.5, is it 4.5 or 5 years now?
Yeah.
4 years. No,
We
almost 5.
We just missed the second Saturday.
Yeah. No, well, it was a Sunday, so that was okay. The week wasn't missed.
Yeah, the week wasn't missed.
In
the week wasn't missed.
the whole time. So like we just never. And then there's a second channel, and the deadlines is really crazy. That's real. Like that puts a lot
Especially
of pressure
with big videos, right?
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure
Yeah.
on what we're doing. So it's nonstop. Like it's literally. I mean, when you work for yourself, everyone that works for themselves, they know, like there's really no days off. Like,
Oh, you work way harder when you work for yourself. People talk about wanting to be their own boss, and I'm like, and have their own business, and I'm like, you will never work harder ever if than when you work for yourself. So let's digress. Tell us, where are you guys from? How did you get into this? Have you always been into the yachting industry? Like, give us a little bit of background. For one, I know the listeners need it, and I need it, because I just know you. The last 4.5-5 years of you is what I know. So tell me, like, where are you from? How did all this get started?
Okay, so really quickly, like I tried to do it in bullet point kind of thing.
Good luck with that.
Out of school, military for 4 years in Germany. That's where I was born. Where I used to live. Military for 4 years, and 6 years of paramedic. 4 years on the ground, 2 years in the air. Then moved to LA. Was parallel already to that, doing some more like a hobby, like playing music at events and small stuff in Germany. When I moved to US, I started driving a limousine, like one of these stretch limousines, very cliche.
Oh, wow.
And parallel to that, started producing music and started playing in nightclubs, and that rolled into playing all over the Hollywood nightclubs. Became a resident DJ for Insomniac Events, which is the biggest promoter, I think, in the world at this point. It's Live Nation and Insomniac. It's one company.
It's an event organizer, not just a
promoter. Yeah, event organizer,
Yeah.
promoter.
Promoters like raves at this point.
Huge festivals like EDC Las Vegas, EDC Orlando, like to just name a couple. Had my resident clubs in California, and then played festivals, and at some point parallel to that started getting into the boating world.
Wait, what happened to me?
Well, we're just talking business. We're just talking business.
You forgot somebody.
Up to that point, he was him. Yeah, so we can bring it to the same and then go together.
Okay.
So yeah, we didn't boat. Both of us didn't boat separately. That came together.
Where are you from, though?
As we got together. So I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, Russia. And I came to US when I was 16 years old by myself. I went to UCLA and, didn't want to go back. I, went to school. I stayed. I started filming TV and kind of fell into the in front of the camera thing, because there were only like 3 girls in my class. And so for any school project, they always put me in front of the camera, even though I want to be a director. That was the whole thing. That's what I studied. And I ended up in, movies and TV for 10 years, did that, joined Screen Actors Guild, and then did commercials for 10 years. So it was like 20 years of that. And that's what I did when,
Wow.
kind of like the YouTube channel started. But we got together 14 years ago.
14 years ago, roughly.
And when we got together, Rico was like, he was a DJ, and I worked in just starting in the commercials. And when we got together, he said he wanted to live on a boat, and I said, well, I kind of like the idea of living on a boat, but like, what are you talking about? What kind of boat? And so we went and looked in what we could
A very,
afford.
very affordable small monohull sailboat.
We went down below together. It was like really one of these smelly boats, just like bad.
Smelled like an old moldy cottage,
Just
like a
and
Or-
like
yeah.
it's like black water and smell and just toilet, like not good. So we both went down below and we both walked out of there like no, like that's not it. And it kind of started that journey. I got into whale watching and got like really involved in went to whale watching school and became like certified
Wow.
marine naturalist. It was a big passion. So what we wanted to do is do whale watching tours, like day
Well,
tours.
that was already a step beyond that. In the beginning, it was like, it's just like, okay, let's not buy a boat. Let's live somewhere in an apartment or whatever. And you just take sailing lessons first, and we can charter.
Yeah, because I was like, maybe we need to charter to see what do we want to live on.
What brands do we like? What manufacturer? I mean, what shipyard? What manufacturer we like?
Clearly, we don't know enough
anything
about it. So why would we just buy something? What if it's bad?
So I got my ASA certifications. All the ASA whatever 101, 102, one blah 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 114, like catamaran.
So you guys don't have a boating background?
No. I mean, he like boated with his dad on a lake or something.
I always liked boats. I was so drawn to boats, but I was never really in the industry ever.
And my grandma lived in Crimea, which like I spent every summer there on the Black Sea. So I was always like, water is a big thing. Sea, loved boats, but we didn't have any real boating background.
So then after my certifications and I got all that, we started chartering. Pretty much almost every weekend, and we organized charters with our friends together and says, hey, look, everybody chips in, we charter the boat, we go out and have
we haven't broke, like we just boated how we could. We just would put groups like of our friends together and charter a sailboat, every kind we could, and just kept chartering.
You got into the whale watching, exactly, and I became friends with one guy who was working at that charter company actually, and we started a business together, a yacht management business in Marina in California. So that's how we really got more into boating and more into or not really boating technically, got more into repairing and maintaining boats.
But also, like, we got our captain's licenses together, and he was I was like, I don't need one, I don't really need a captain's license. And at the time, I produced a fashion show, like it was a gig on the side that I had my business partner and we had a largest audience fashion show for LA Fashion Week for 5 years.
God.
So I know we're all over the place. You asked.
Wow. But I can see how this leads up to where you are now. But keep going.
Yeah. I already skipped some things.
I know, it's just very short. So her and I produced the show. She did marketing and PR, and I did all the production. And it was a live show. It was like, 2,000 people audience. And I don't know, my backstage was like 250 people, and it was non-traditional format. So had like, every designer, 5 to 7 designers each show. And we had like cirque dancers and singers and, all sorts of like opening acts before.
Wow.
So it was a big production. So
it got really, really, really good, the show, like after she met me and then we collaborated.
So when we sold the show, I kind of had, I was still like, my main bread and butter was commercials. And so that's how I made money. But it was like I had some time and a bit of a gap. So we got into boating. And at that point we were, we were actually already living on a boat. So kind of skipped it. But I just realized like there was nothing for women. We went to boat shows and looked at boats and just realized like, there was just nothing there that women that were interested in boating from whichever background could really just fall back to. Like as basic as, what should you wear if you're invited on a boat? Or what are the terminology on board?
Right and left on a boat.
Basic things, and especially anything even more complicated. So it was very like man's world at the time. And it just felt like there was just a gap, a niche.
But you totally skipped the big part.
Okay, hold on. But so I decided that I needed a blog. And that's why I started a blog. And it was a NaughtiStyles was a blog initially and an Instagram account. Okay, go back.
Okay, so let's go back a couple of years before the blogs starting, we decided we wanted to buy a boat. So I think I had my license already or not.
I don't know. Gotta have to go back to
Anyway,
look at
somewhere in
this.
that ballpark. We decided we wanted to buy a boat, just a center console or something kind of like a center console, and take people out, just a six pack charter, pretty much take maximum six paying passengers out and do whale watching, dolphin safaris,
Just day
just like
tours.
day tours, like 3 hours, 4 hour tours.
Because in LA we have
Um,
so many whales. We have 5, 6 different types of
Correct.
whales, tons of dolphins, just tons of marine life. So it's really amazing, amazing whale watching there.
Yeah, when you did the whale counting, gray whale census, the counting of the gray whale migration,
Oh
um,
wow.
we got out on multiple different whale watching boats in San Pedro and in Marina del Rey, and really got into this. And we said, okay, let's buy a boat. So we started looking at the center console, and then we thought, like, nah, maybe go a little bit bigger with a little cuddy cabin.
You know how it is. You're like, well, if we're gonna do this, maybe there should be like a little cabin we can spend like a night in Catalina,
or weekend or whatever.
and then they're like, well, then maybe we should be able to spend like a week on it. Well, if we're gonna spend that much money on it, wouldn't it make sense to then live on it? And it just kind of got bigger
It just grows.
and bigger.
Get rid of the apartment.
Yeah.
We're already paying the slip fee then, and the whatever mortgage and insurance or whatever it might be.
So long story short, we ended up with like a 47-foot motor yacht.
Yeah, aft cabin motor
Oh my
yacht,
god.
which we lived on for 8 years, which
8 years.
was not planned that way.
The plan was like 2-3 years, and then we will step up, and then it just step up was so much more, and we had like a really good boat. It was great, for what we wanted.
For the length and the space, you can't get more.
It was aft cabin motor yacht, so you had a lot of room, and it was in great shape. We had it. We set it up great way. So we're like, okay, if we're gonna step up, it really has to be a step up, and it just financially didn't make sense. So we're like, let's just save and really work hard and try to like be able to afford like a real step up. So
Then go ahead.
In the meantime, I started another business.
Yeah, but what happened to our captain's licenses?
We got them somehow in between.
Yeah.
I mean, to make it really, really short, like I got my OUPV license and wanted to immediately get the master, the 100-ton master upgrade. So I was waiting for the school to offer the course, and they had some delays, and I don't know, whoever was supposed to do the course got sick and then was delayed again. Anyways, they finally did it. I did the course. I passed it. I had everything ready to submit to the Coast Guard. The day I went to the Coast Guard, I gave them the whole package. They went through everything, looked through it. It was like, oh, the OUPV is 1 day over 1 year old, the certificate of completion.
No.
Yes. And they said, like, we can we accept all the paperwork.
Except everything else.
The 100-ton,
but the certificate. Yeah.
But you have to do the OUPV again, which everybody who has a captain's license know. It's rules of the road, it's stability.
The most annoying test.
It's the most annoying test out of all of them, at least in my opinion. So I was.
So he came to me and he's like, "So I'm gonna have to do this again. Do you want to do it with me? Because the tiny school we had in Marina del Rey, they need at least 2 students to do a school."
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really need a captain's license. But at this point we were already like boating. It was like we weren't running it professionally, but like we had a boat. So I was like, I
you
guess
were in it, so you might as well.
I guess it would be good to to know, like, sometimes I ask him questions, who has the right of way, just this stuff. And like, I would know all of this. I wouldn't have to ask him. It would be good to have another captain on board. So I actually reached out to a different school in Long Beach and said, hey, and I thought like this would be really cool for my blog to be able to write about it, what it's like to get a captain's license, what it is. So I reached out to them and I said, I'm interested in writing about it on the blog. And they said, yes, sure, this would be great. And so we both actually ended up doing it. And that's how I also ended up with the captain's license.
Yep.
Okay. So then you have a background, in film and entertainment and stuff like that. And so now you're into the yachting and you're like, yes, obviously it's very male dominated, but you're right. For any women, I mean, clear down or as simple to, what do I wear? Or what is the left side of the boat? What is the right side of the boat? So you started this blog. Then how did you get to where you are now? Because now it's huge.
Blog, and then we went to boat shows and started filming.
We like, there were no women at all, and there were a couple of PR
I
agents.
know.
Yeah.
No,
I
but
know.
there were a couple of PR agents, especially, I mean, in the captain's field, especially, it was crazy. I mean, I would get on board of some boats, and I would meet women that were there with, with their spouse or a partner, and you could tell like the brokers were talking to the husband. They were like fully, and just the women were just ignored completely. It just felt so strange. And I thought, like, in any couple that's realistically shopping for a boat, like, at least two people making this decision. And sometimes, very often, if the woman doesn't like it, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So how is it possible that,
I mean, maybe some exceptions, but in general, like 100%.
how is it possible that it's so disregarded? And, the PR companies, a couple of them were run by women. And so as I would write for the blog, I met a couple of these women, and they were like, oh my God, it's a woman, and they were like so excited because there was no one. And at this time, Facebook Live was big. So we would get on board with really cool boats for me to write about the blog at the boat shows. And then I said, well, we should, I had Instagram already, but it wasn't big on, video. So I said, we should do like Facebook Live tours, since we do it anyway. We just walk through the boat live and people can watch.
You might as well turn the camera on and do it, since like you're saying, you're already doing it.
It did really well, and it's like, kind of took off. It started doing well, and he kept saying like, you should do YouTube. And initially I did like 2 videos about our boat life, and it just did nothing. It didn't monetize. It was very little views. And I was like,
we didn't also know enough about it.
I don't understand YouTube. I don't like, it's not monetizing. I was like, I don't really get it. Like, I don't want to do this. And he kept pushing me, and I just kept saying no at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And 2019, right before COVID, we were at our first time at the Cannes Yachting Festival. And we got to tour Sunreef 60 Sail Eco. And it was the first Eco. And we actually got invited, like they reached out to us, the guys that actually built the boat, not Sunreef, but the company that that was built for the client. They reached out to us and said, hey, do you want to see this boat? We'll do a private tour for you. And so we did that. And every time we filmed for Facebook Live, we kind of filmed with the thought of potentially doing YouTube, but kind of never did.
Mm-hmm.
So we filmed this boat, and there were only us and another outlet that actually got this tour. So nobody else really had it. So we got home, he was like, Rico was like, put it on YouTube. I'm like, I'm not an editor. I don't know how to really do this. He's like, just do it. Just put it, just do whatever you can.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah, that's what he kept saying. So I was like, okay, fine. So I cut it how I could. It was horrible. So,
but in your mind, you're thinking it's got to be perfect. It's got to be this. It's got to be edited. It's got to be all of that. And he's going, no, just freaking put it out there.
He's like, it's the first Eco. Like, people are going to want to see this boat. And so I put it out there, and this one video monetized the channel. Like, one video just takes off, monetizes the channel. At this point, we're like, oh, wow, this is great. He's like, do another one. So we toured Here Comes the Sun, which is a mega yacht. And same thing. But it was like, the sound was so bad. It was not made for YouTube. It was just, now looking back, it's horrible. And so I kind of like recycled that one, and that one totally took off. So then in January, I believe I did another one, like whatever we filmed in, I think in Cannes as well. And then COVID hit. And, my industry shut down in March. He at this point had a marine dealership.
Yeah, I wanted to get there, but you were so passionate about the whole other story, so we kind of jumped over this.
Go ahead.
We've only taken 26 minutes to do the
that was I think like 2 years back or 3 years back, actually. I started another dealership. I started the dealership in California as well with another business partner of mine, which we were dealer for Yamaha outboards, brick tenders, Achilles little inflatables and electric motors and a whole bunch of other stuff. Still continuing the yacht management. And we were also doing a lot of crew and captain crew work together for clients, which we have taken care of for a long time on the yacht management side, and they're jumping up in boat sizes, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we captained for one client in the Bahamas a lot, flew over to the East Coast, and just did a lot
At
of,
this point, we're still in LA.
yeah, I did a lot of captain work in and around LA as well. Some semi full time, but mostly was part time
Yeah,
stuff.
we crew quite a bit as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, back to where you were.
I don't know. Oh, yeah. So my industry completely shuts down. At that point, I think we made $300 on YouTube that month,
Which was mind blowing.
We were like, holy
I was
smokes.
like, oh my god,
You
this
can
makes
make money? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. So was it, because, so for people that are listening, I know a lot of people, watch you from the creator standpoint. When you monetized on YouTube, was that, YouTube saying you got this number of views, so you get this much money because you got this number of views? Is that how it monetized?
So at that point, if I would have listened to him 6 months earlier, you only need 2,000 watch hours, I believe, to monetize. 2,000 watch hours, just
In
so
total.
everybody kind of understands, and 1,000 subscribers. So 1,000 subscribers wasn't too difficult, but the watch hours was really hard. So because I didn't do that early enough, by the time I was trying to monetize, it changed to 4,000 watch hours. And at that moment, I was like, 4,000 watch hours. Like,
You're
that's
like, how can I do this?
This is crazy. I mean, this will take years, So when it happened with one video, I mean, it was just kind of mind blowing. And just to put it in perspective, I'm going to look at what we did last month. So watch hours. So last month we did 365,000 watch hours.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a little crazy now to think of it this way. So in March everything shut down for me. Commercial industry shut down, and so he was like, "Well, I guess you're doing YouTube. What else are you going to be doing?" So I was like, "I guess I am." So I took.
Then it pays. So then, does it pay based on the watch time, or then is that where ads come in? How, just
so
for
the
people
ad
that
revenue.
Explain how that works.
Yeah, so the ad revenue, which is Google, right? So Google owns YouTube. So it's Google ads. So anytime you watch YouTube, you get these ads unless you have YouTube Premium, which you don't have the ads, right, or you have an ad blocker, which you shouldn't. If you like YouTube, you should support your creators and pay premium or watch the ads. That would be the right thing to do. How we get paid is based on the amount of ads that are shown to the people that are watching it. So not based on the amount of views, the actual ads. And those ads are targeted to you. So the ads that I would see on YouTube and the ads you would see on YouTube are different because they're targeted based on what.
So there's an algorithm in the background. So you're not having to go out to these people and say, "Hey, will you put an ad on my video?"
You can do it as an integrated ad, which we do as well sometimes. But in general, you don't have to. YouTube does that for you. Google does that. Yeah.
Nice. So now this is, like many people with COVID, almost very much COVID I don't want to say COVID inspired, but COVID helped launch it maybe in a good way, because now people are just at home, having nothing to do but watch YouTube. A lot of social media.
It was definitely
an accelerator.
And
hugely.
Part of the reason why is that if we would have stuck with sort of the approach was like, new boats, new shiny luxury, that's what kind of we thought people wanted to see. But what happened when COVID hit, and we couldn't film anything new, I ran out everything I could recycle because I didn't have much, in the can. So It was just, once I was out, officially April 2020 is when I went like full time, one video a week into YouTube, and we ran out. And so what do? There are no boat shows, we can really get new content. So I asked Rico, I said, can we please film the video of our boat? Because, I was reading every comment, responding to every comment, just like super engaged, just to try to understand what this is about. And everybody kept saying, in the beginning, when you just start out, there's a lot of hate on YouTube. It's really, really hard. Like, harsh comments. What do you know? You're just a girl, just whatever. Go back
Yeah.
to your kitchen. Just mean.
Mean.
Yeah, and I do have somewhat of a thick skin just by being in the whole, Hollywood industry.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Unless it's coming from me.
But Rico
Yeah.
doesn't have thick skin, so he would get so upset. I mean,
Yeah,
just
some of
pissed
them,
off.
yeah. So, some of them I was just like, come on. Like
He
I
would
was like
get really worked
writing
up.
something, delete, 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 delete,
Yeah.
delete.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because it is hard, and I don't have nearly the following as you do, but I I got my first hater a while back, and you know, it consumed me, and it's crazy how I can look and I can say, okay, out of the 40, 50,000 followers that I have, cumulatively, why am I letting the one take up so much space in my mind when the other 49,999 are sending me messages saying, we love you, thank you for what you're doing, you're so inspiring. And I had to work through that process. But how did you, because it's and especially, I mean, it's a matter of statistics, right? The more followers you have, unfortunately, the more haters you're going to have. So how did you process that? Like, how did you, I mean, sometimes
Well,
you
I
want
mean,
to reach through the screen and beat them
I
up, but
process it
that's
with
not going to work.
anger.
We were very different the way we process that, and I think that kind of speaks to how different we are as people and how do we even handle it differently, right? So we have, I call us like yacht tubers, everybody that does yacht walkthroughs. Like, we have our WhatsApp group, we all know each other, we, friends. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes, like, we'll have like Nick Aquaholic, he loves to put like
I
crappy comments.
love Nick.
Yeah, he's awesome. So he'll put these comments in the chat, in our chat, like this
David too sometimes.
really bad comments, and then we just kind of laugh at it, or we give
Yeah.
it, back, whatever. So everybody does it different. Some people believe in just like deleting them and just ignoring them, which maybe works. Rico would get really upset and had to get kind of like go back and think about,
Well,
just calmly dealing with it. My approach in the beginning was, I just thought, first of all, it was COVID. It was not much to do, right? So I was really in the comments section, which I think is part of the reason why the channel did so well. And to me, I take it with heads on. And I felt like, and again, it doesn't work for everybody. For me, I felt like approaching it the right way gave me thicker skin. So when they gave me something, I would give it back. And they'd be like, what do you know? You're just a girl. And I'd be like, actually, I have a captain's license. I live on a boat, blah, blah, blah. I do this, we do that, we crew. And I would give them the whole thing. And you will be so surprised how often they would walk it back. And I just felt like it was,
I was just joking.
oh yeah,
I
I'm
was
just
like,
kidding.
yeah, no, you weren't.
But it was just,
You know what? This is good though, because there's three of us sitting here, and we all three have a different approach. My approach is I read a comment, and the way that I have kind of trained myself to go is, wow, they must really be suffering to take the time to scour over my account and to say something very nasty about something very kind that I'm saying or doing. You must really be in a bad place. So my approach, at first, I would type back and I would just want to fire away. And then I was like, wait a minute. No, no, no. Think about where they're at. And I would type back with compassion. And so I think it's important to show that there's no one size fits all. And because that typing back with compassion would work for me, sometimes it wouldn't. And then you kind of just have to say, whatever, dude, sorry you're having a bad day. But Victoria, you kind of fight back. You kind of like,
yeah, I mean,
actually,
not
no.
always. Sometimes I'd always be like, well, who pooped in your coffee this morning? I hope your day gets better. Like, I sometimes did that too. But sometimes when I felt like I had something to say, I would give it back and I would fight back. And very often they would back and walk it back. And the most amazing thing to me is there's still people that when we just started out that wrote these comments, they're still our followers, and they're the most loyal followers. Like,
I was
they're
just getting ready to say that.
they're completely turned around. They've fully, gained respect.
Probably very supportive. They've probably really taken the time to get to know you.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so it's, and now, Rico, how do you process it? How do you deal with it?
For me, like I kind of had to really think about it's like, why would somebody write something like this in the first place? And then I realized is, with all social media, not just YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, TikTok, whatever it is, where people are hiding behind the screen, if it's their phone or if it's their computer, doesn't really matter. You're completely disconnected personally from that, from that other, from the person you're watching. And people feel very empowered to say, I mean, crazy stuff, mean stuff, I mean, positive stuff, which is great. I mean, we all
Well, there's
appreciate that.
no accountability in the
There's
way.
no that person would probably be afraid or would never even dare saying that into your face in real life.
Oh, never.
Yeah, so that is one thing. What still kind of blows my mind, and a lot of times is if you don't like the content, nobody makes you watch this. Just switch the channel, watch a different video.
I know. I'm like, don't follow me anymore if you don't like what I'm saying. Then
Exactly.
don't follow me.
Considering unsubscribing, I'm like, okay.
So I over the years I realized it's like, okay, these people, that is their hobby or meaning of life is go and troll. That's all they have probably. Because I think
sad.
if you spend hours and hours,
Well,
yeah,
it's very sad because if you think of where they're coming from in their head or in their heart, it's very sad.
yeah,
it is. So, okay.
But in
So
reality, what was interesting is that when we started, we had way more hate. And now we have very, very little. So I think the bigger you get as an influencer, actually the less of that hate you get.
really,
Yeah, I mean, that's been our experience.
but also you did for a long time. You haven't done it lately, but you did in between, where you actually take screenshots of those comments and put them on Instagram.
I still do it.
In between, you're still doing it.
I love taking like the worst of them and
I like when you do that.
Yeah,
like an Insta story. There's an Insta story.
And I love, it's so funny because at this point, it really doesn't bother me. I just really came in such a long way that I just feel like every single comment is a learning experience of how you deal with it. And if you can deal with hate in a laughing and positive way. And I love when, my Instagram followers, they get so worked up and they write me in DM their reactions to it and what they would say. And it just makes me laugh. It makes my day. It's kind of like it's connecting with the community in a different way and being able to laugh about it.
I mean, you probably have that on your channel too now. Like if somebody writes a really, really nasty comment, which is not flagged by YouTube, actually gets posted, you probably have other followers you have which are commenting on your behalf on it. And that's actually, that is the coolest where you don't even have to say anything and people defending you.
Yes, there was one, I can't remember what it was, but something that, I remember what it was. It was the post that I had done with my engineer, and I was in the engine room with my engineer, and I was talking about how, with my crew, there's never on my boat that's not my job. Like, don't tell me that's not your job. Like, it drives me nuts, so if I need help or deck needs help or interior needs help or engineering needs help, like we help, we jump in. And so I was explaining that, and this engineer jumped in and just went off and said, no crew members have any business in the engineering space. And I don't know why you're letting, your deck department in the engine room. And I don't know why, when you're doing your crossings that, your deckhand would be doing an engine room check. And, oh God, here we have another captain that thinks they're a god. And I was like, oh my God, like I was just trying to teach about engine room checks on a long crossing. I have one engineer. He's got to sleep at some point.
He has to sleep, and somebody has to help out. That's how it works.
And I wanted to fire back, and I didn't, because at that time I was like, okay, compassionate Kelly cannot respond right now, so I'm just gonna sit this one out. And oh my God, all of my other followers, they jumped in and they tackled this engineer and was like, no, you don't understand the kind of boat that Kelly's running and the way that she likes to teach. And I was like, I didn't have to type a thing. I didn't have to handle any of it.
Yeah, and I think the bigger the account gets, the more it's that way, and the more supportive the community becomes, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like. And usually when we get the kind of a mean comments, I know that the video is being exposed to new people. I could tell right away. I'm like, oh, the video is doing well. We're getting hate. So it's almost like, it's a little exciting.
It's a good
You're
thing
like,
now.
because if we don't get any hate, then it's just all subscribers. So I feel like, live in society that is so driven by this faceless hate, and
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
able to just not let it get to you is as important for somebody who is not an influencer and someone who is. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how famous or not famous you are. The bullying online, this being allowed to bully, that it's okay in this society, that people are doing these things, just this keyboard warrior, mentality. I think we need to, obviously it's not okay, of course, but we can't really stop it
Mm-hmm.
either. We can't stop every single
But
bully.
it's not okay, and it's something that I've been kind of. I have a nephew. He's 8, 9 years old now, and one of the conversations with my sister has been, what he allowed to have social media accounts? Will he have a phone? When will he have a phone? This and that. And so I just kind of pay attention to more of, I read the studies. And I read a study the other day that said in between the ages of 10 and 19, the fourth leading cause of death for that age group was suicide.
Suicide. Yeah.
And I have read other studies that swear, and prove that it's because of the bullying that happens on social media.
Yep.
And it is so sad that a 10-year-old would consider taking their life because of the bullying. And and I get it, because you and I, when we were in school, we'd go to school. If there was a bully, we dealt with the bully from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. when class was out, and then we got to go home at least.
Mm-hmm.
Now the bully follows you home, because it's online, it's in your
Yep.
text messages, it's nonstop. And just, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But you bring up a good point for whether you're an influencer, whether you're not, you know, to if you're bullied online, you if you can keep the noise out, because
you
people
got
are
to be
much.
able to you got to be able to report it. I always report it when it's it doesn't bother me, but I still report it, because it's not okay, and these people should be not allowed to do that. Their accounts should be shut down. So I take the time, and my team also, they know that
Good
now
for
helps.
you.
We
Mm-hmm.
always report the bullying, even if I
Good
don't
for you.
care, because they should be accountable wherever they are. And I
Because
think
if they're
it's
bullying someone else, they're
exactly.
not just bullying you. They're probably bullying a handful of other people. And what if that's a person that the one thing they say that day tips them over the edge?
And
So,
that's why I
you know
think
what?
it's not okay to just delete the comment. You gotta either face them, that they understand that there's someone could fight back. Not everybody can fight back. I can. Doesn't mean that somebody else can. And that is not like, there's no rule for all, right? Like, it doesn't work for everybody.
Not a
But
one size fits all.
yeah, but you gotta report them. 100% gotta report them. And that their
That's
account
good.
needs to be shut down.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And then when you take those comments, and what has resonated the most for me personally with respect to you is those screenshots that you post on Instagram, and then your little comment about, firing back, or don't ever stop doing those, because for me, it's funny how the universe works. I saw you post one of those when I was starting to deal with my first hater. And when I saw that and I saw your little added comment there, I was like, okay, okay, I can
Not
do this.
alone. You're not
I
alone.
yeah, I'm not alone, and she can get through this, so I can get through this. And Kelly, your other however many thousands of followers, let them speak louder than this one hater. And my youngest crew member said it. the best just a couple months ago. We were sitting down and we were talking because, you know, I mean, my brand takes a bit of time sometimes away from my crew. And I was sitting down with them and telling them thank you. And they've always been so supportive. One of them has been with me for so long. He's seen it since the beginning. A couple of them have actually. And my youngest crew member said, and we were talking about my hater, and he said, well, Cap, if you don't have haters, you're not ruffling enough feathers and you're not doing something right.
Very
I was
true.
like, man, I was like,
That's
wow.
that's what
Very
actually
true.
I would say, the DMs that I get that people write, for these
Mm-hmm.
comments, it's, I would say maybe 70% of that is what people say. Like, hey, you obviously, you're not big enough, or you're not, you're not doing the right thing. Like if you don't get hate or envy or whatever. And it seems like just words, but it's not. It's true. If you're in a public eye, if you're a celebrity, obviously that's going to happen. I think it's the struggle of, being strong enough to deal with the hate, because dealing with love is much easier, but it's
Yeah.
the hate is where I feel like breaks the people in the public eye. That's really, really hard to deal with. And I think the really important part of it is being able to tell someone about it, and I think that everyone can do. So for me, being able to tell somebody about it is being able to tell my online community, because when I tell Rico, he just gets upset. It just,
Not about every
no, but it
comment,
it
but
hurts him more than me. But I feel like me sharing it with other people that all react differently makes me feel whole, and I feel like I have a community I can share. I have people that say, hey, you are doing the right thing, we love what you guys are doing. So I think sharing it with your friends or your community, or that one person, that you can say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're 10 years old, I got this hate message and it's really upsetting me. What am I going to do? It's really important. Do not hold it in. Do not be alone. Do not deal with it alone. I think that is the wrong thing to do for everybody. You got to get it out. It's not okay to just be alone with that, with this
I think reporting is
hate that you can't
yeah.
face. You don't know this
Yeah.
person. It's like a
Well, and
shadow.
you can't, yeah, it's a shadow. It's not for a 10-year-old. It's not somebody you can walk up to, you know, on at recess on the playground and say, "Hey, stop, man."
Yep.
And you're right. So right about you're not alone, and reach out to your community online, in person, and report it. That's such a big thing. Is and even for parents, I even think, for my sister, if my nephew is very big, so I know he's going to run into some bullying because he's so big, and reporting it, you know, um, that's huge. Well, let's move on to the next thing. Your boat. Is it
How about
is it built? Is it done? When is it? Where is it? I mean, freaking awesome. And and I have to ask, because I know a lot of people want to know, and you can tell me if it's too invasive. Is your YouTube channel what has allowed you to build this boat? Is it this, or is it past careers that you still have residuals from that have allowed you to build this? Because it's very you guys are normal human beings building a super yacht, and it's freaking cool. It's like so inspiring.
almost a mini super
a
yacht?
mini super
A
yacht,
mini
yeah.
super
No,
yacht.
it's a mixture
Many, but we're
of
still.
different things, and
I mean,
I
we've
think that one of the bigger, one of the bigger money makers is, or was, I mean, not anymore, but was porn. We did a lot of porn.
it's Rico's OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's my OnlyFans. Yeah.
So
No.
we've been working our butts off for the last 14 years with, like, we did, like we said, we didn't even mention all the ventures and everything that we've done. um, the YouTube definitely allowed us to, like, gave us opportunities, and I think that's really, that's that I didn't finish the, what really kind of set off a whole different thing in the channel is that I asked him to do a tour of our boat, and he kept saying no. And I said, well, we got to tour something, and there's nothing we can tour. It's COVID.
Because you were out of content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, can we please film our boat? People keep asking, what do you live on? You keep saying you live on a boat, but you're lying, what do you live on? So finally I convinced him, and we did a tour our boat. Until this day, it is one of the biggest videos we have on the channel. And when this happened and that video really took off, I realized, like, wow, people actually really want to see like attainable dreams, like real liveaboards. And
They
that's
do.
how the affordable liveaboard series was born on the channel. So we started calling local brokers we knew, and we said, hey, we know it's COVID, but like we live in the marina, we have a tender, we have a dinghy. Can we just come over in a dinghy? You just unlock the boat, walk away, and we'll come, we'll film it, we'll leave, we never have to see each other, and then we'll put it out on YouTube, and you can show, you could sell it, because they couldn't do anything, they couldn't show it to
Yeah.
anybody. And so brokers would be like, okay, what is it going to cost me? And we're like, nothing.
Nothing.
And they're like, do it. So we started doing this. We would just take it, our dinghy, go to, in our marina, and those videos were just, people were just eating them up. They like loved them. And I think, as this grew, and then as COVID relaxed and we were able to do
Yeah.
boat shows and stuff, we never lost the side of, who we really are with this series. And this allowed us to have this incredible opportunities, which is one of them is, getting the opportunity to build a boat like this. So yes, I would say definitely.
I mean, without the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be building this boat.
Yes, definitely.
So it monetizes that well. And the reason I ask these things again, guys, is because, like, I have a lot of younger followers and crew and stuff like that, and they come to me sometimes and they talk about where I'm at in my career and where I'm at with my brand, and I'm like, it's a lot of freaking hard work, So that you guys have said, it's not just your YouTube channel. It was things and ventures that you have done before, and a lot of hard work. But it's so inspiring, and thank you for being willing to open up about it and share about it. But is a lot of it from the YouTube channel, or is it just kind of a combination of things that you've done over the course of your life?
It's
I mean, we lived on the boat for 8 years. We've been saving for, for that step up. We didn't buy, a bigger boat when we could have. We just decided that we want to hold off. We always wanted to have a charter boat that
we invested in some properties back then instead of buying a new boat.
Yeah, so we
that
just
paid off pretty well.
made some smart moves. We worked hard. We invested. Like it was a path, and we knew we wanted to have a charter boat. We wanted to own our own charter boat. We did charter vacations. We would bareboat charter the biggest cat we could get in the Caribbean, put together a group or two back to back, and you know how it is in the bareboat. Like you got to buy everything: salt and pepper, toilet paper, everything.
Yeah.
So we would provision everything. We would run the charters, fly from LA to the Caribbean, do that, come back, and it was just the two of us with 8 to 10 guests. We would cook, we would clean, we would do everything, and we loved it. We really loved it. So we always wanted to. The dream was always to have our own boat, our own charter boat. Yep. So with this boat, that's what we're going to do. The boat will be in the charter. It will be us plus 2 more crew, a chef and a deckhand.
So no more cooking for us.
Yeah, that takes the most time. But yes, it was just a goal. Like we had this goal, and YouTube allowed us to have it, but I think we would have still been able to buy a charter boat. I just don't know if we would have been able to have a bearing.
Yeah.
But it would have definitely been something we would have done. We were on the path to do that, just because every opportunity.
I had a young crew member at Flibs actually chase me down, and she's like, Captain Kelly, I have a weird question. And she's like, you talk about crew and their money from time to time. And those, oddly enough, when I talk about what to do with your big tip from charter, do this with it, don't do that with it, don't go buy the $4,000 handbag, with your $4,000 tip. Like, remember, we are crew, we are not the owners, so she came up to me and she says, look, it was so cool. She's like, I've got all this money and I don't know what to do with it. So a lot of crew, and I talked to her about, I invest in real estate too, and a bit of the stock market and stuff like that. So I think it's important for people to know that are listening and wondering. I know I've wondered, because the only part I know about you guys is the last 4 or 5 years. And so I'm like, I mean, look, I'm a captain. I know what these things cost to buy and build. So, and I'm like, I see you as your YouTube channel. So it's a, and I know this is a question that a lot of people have had and probably just not had the guts to ask. And so it's been a combination of YouTube and previous, you mentioned that, you've had other business ventures, you've invested in real estate and stuff like that. So for any listeners or even young yachties that are wondering, what other kinds of things have you done, or things have you invested in that have allowed you to get to where you are today?
Yeah, and then usually, like, I mean, for us, both of us actually, and lots of other immigrants as well, like which live in the U.S. Um, we were pretty driven, so it was never just one thing at a time. It has always been two or three different ventures
We've
at the
never
same
just
time.
had one job.
Never.
Never.
If it's like multiple businesses, or if it's multiple jobs, or if it's whatever it is, like there was always like different avenues, which we created revenue with.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
still are. I mean, he
Same.
still co-owns a business in California. We now, for the last year and a half, we head of sales for Bearing Yachts for Americas and Caribbean. That was not something we planned, but it happened.
We opened our own brokerage.
We have
a year
a
ago.
brokerage, yes. So
Um,
just like constantly growing and investing along the way has been the path. But yeah, we've worked our butts off, and I would say living on a boat, you're safe, and you put your money away, and we've owned a couple of homes we didn't live in because they were all investments. So we rented them out and kept living on the boat when we could have probably bought a bigger home and lived in it, or whatever the people's dream is. So
which family and friends didn't always understand.
yeah, it was people like,
when you guys
when
actually
you go buy a house,
live in a real house again,
Yeah.
like, and it's like, no, why we don't want to.
But initially when we decided to do it, I really thought like, okay, like 2-3 years I could live on a boat, and then 5 years later I was like, I don't want the house, I don't want the
I
yard,
love living on a boat.
I don't want the
I
yard,
love.
I don't want any of that. I don't want, like, I used to live in a house, and like I don't want it. I love living in a boat, so I just want a bigger boat. But it's it's just kind of a
Also, moving from boat to boat, you need very little U-Haul space.
true.
I know.
Most of the
It's amazing.
built in.
Everything's built in.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you literally, there's something comforting knowing that you can literally pack your stuff up in a couple of big bags and be on the go. And there's, I lost my house in Beaufort, North Carolina in Hurricane Florence back in I think that was 2018. And so then, and I was running boats, but primarily out of there. So I was living in a house. So that forced me onto boats full time and living on them full time. And I loved it. Now I have the opportunity to be back in a house, and I'm like, oh my God, I bought a couch, I bought a tape. I'm like, no, put me back on the boat. I saved so much money living on the boat because you can only have so much crap, right? And I'm like,
So
yeah.
true.
So
It's like, it kind of it's liberating in a way when you move out of a house or an apartment into a boat, because you really have to get rid of all of that stuff, all the furniture. Like usually it's all built in, so
it is so freeing.
it's liberating.
Yes, when you don't have that crap to worry about, I'm like, oh my God, this is so freeing. But going back to that, thanks for sharing, because it's I do get a few questions now with young yachties, as I've got this tip money, or I've got this money, what do I do with it? And I think it's important for them to hear and know, from someone like you, that it's a lot of things. It's never just one thing, and you're always moving, and you're always going, and you're always not creating content, but creating income streams and businesses. And it takes multiple. And I think it's freaking awesome to see you guys building this and doing this. And it's so inspiring, actually. Like it's really inspiring to see you guys do this. So where is the boat in the build process? When do you get to take command of this thing?
Summer is what
Summer of this
summer
year.
is what we're told. Yes.
Wow.
So, hopefully.
That's like in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
not that soon, but
Yeah.
yes, we've
Yeah.
we still have a few things down the line, but it's like a full-time job. It's definitely
It was very involved.
more than we thought it was going to be. Like it's been like having at least a part-time job for
Yeah.
sure, like another job,
Oh, yeah.
another I mean, anybody who's ever built a house can definitely relate to that, because it seems like it's very similar, but it's like building a house with different electrical system on an island somewhere. That's really what
Mhm.
kind of what it feels like.
Yep.
Because our boat is US, spec, so it's, for everybody who doesn't know, but it's like US electrical system. So all our appliances have to be shipped from US to Turkey.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complex, and it's been very interesting because we've never built a house.
And it's a semi-custom boat, so it's really like, it's like, okay, which faucet do you want? Which sink do you want? Which
It's
that? And
definitely like
It's
a lot.
decision
It's a lot.
fatigue, and we've toured so many boats. Our, we call it new boat build list, is massive, and everything we wanted on it, like at some point you got to compromise and say, okay, fine, I'm not going to have
Yeah.
this. Or you're like, no, I really want this. I don't care if you know how to do it. You have to figure it out.
Okay.
I want this.
On top of all that, it wasn't just like for our personal private use. So where we just worry about us, it was also from the get-go, from the beginning on, the charter application.
Yeah.
So
So you will put it in charter.
Yes.
Well, we will charter, like it will
So
not charter without us, but yeah, we will be chartering it. Not full time, but what is it called? Like a limited amount of time a year. Yeah.
You need a
we'll-
little bit to offset those expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,
So
12
will you guys
enough to offset the costs. Yeah.
so it'll be you two. What positions will you guys have on the boat?
Captain. No.
Nice. I have the bigger license. So, Captain, what's your position? First mate?
I don't know. Well, I'm an all rounder, I guess. The boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
The
There you
face.
go.
There you
The
go.
Captain,
face.
the boss.
The pretty face. No, I'm the pretty face.
You're the pretty
Yeah,
face.
yeah. And then we will have a chef and a deckhand slash
Deckhand.
slash deckhand slash maybe
You know,
engineer.
how it is when you have a small
It's a
crew.
small boat.
Everybody kind of does everything. So it's, I think, except, I mean, obviously a chef needs to
Be
be
the chef.
able,
Yeah.
to be a
needs
chef.
to be able to cook.
But overall, like we're gonna be looking for crew soon. So if anybody out there, we have pretty nice crew quarters and a really great space for a couple in case there's a couple out there.
Couple would be
I know
ideal.
a really good couple. She's
Oh.
deck and so she's exterior, he's interior, which I really like that. I
Well, we
like
need
that
a
they're
chef.
both.
We need a chef. One needs to be chef.
One needs to be a chef. Okay.
One needs to be
I'll
a
keep
chef
my ears open.
and a good deckhand, someone who's strong. And I just realized that like there's some big lines need to be handled on this boat, and like yes, I can do stuff, but I just would love to have somebody who is physically very capable. So I just don't feel overwhelmed. As much as I keep telling myself it's going to be fine, like until I'm really doing it, I feel like it would be good to have someone who is strong and capable.
Yeah.
So a deckhand to me is more important than, let's say, a stew. I can stew. That's really how I look at it. And maybe somebody with, not maybe, somebody who has a OUPV, so he could potentially drive a tender as well, and have some engineering knowledge to be able to help Rico out, if needed. So I think that's...
What size boat is it?
Well, it's only 78 feet long, but it's 160 metric tons in weight and 174 gross tons. So it's a very
big girl.
Yeah,
it's a very big boat, but it's also a very, very heavy boat. So 160 tons.
It's almost a
displacement.
24-foot beam. So she's big.
Yeah, if you would compare her with the production boat, you're probably looking at a close to 100-footer, maybe 105-footer.
Okay, yeah. No. Well, I was going to ask you what's next, but now I know what's next. And this is so exciting.
We have a big year. We have a big year for us.
Yeah, it's a lot happening.
This is a big year for sure.
This
There's
is really cool.
going on. Yeah.
This is really cool.
A lot of trips to the shipyard still, and shakedown cruises and all of that.
And the warranty list and all of that stuff that you're going to have to go through. And
exactly.
Guys, listen, I had no intentions of running an hour and 6 minutes long.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No.
It says 106.
um,
Wow.
but I kind of had this suspicion. I was like, we can, the three of us can talk, and I
Yeah.
know Victoria and I can talk. So, listen, like, you guys have shared so much. I mean, we've covered business, we've covered mental health, we've covered who you are. Like, we've covered a lot of ground in an hour and 6 minutes. I have to let you go. I know I do, but I mean, my last question was, what's next? And you've told us what's next. And you guys have been such an inspiration for me, and I know so many other people. And I was, almost a little bit like, I wonder if she'll say yes when I ask if they'll be on my podcast.
Well, stop
So,
it. I was thrilled. I was thrilled to ask. And I know it was kind of hard with the schedules because we had this crazy schedule, like, you know, like you had after all the boat shows and everything. So I'm
yeah,
glad it worked out, even if it's 12 hours apart. But I was like, dude, we're gonna make it happen.
Yep.
Like we would love
no,
to. So,
thank
no,
you
thanks
so
for
much for
having
making
us.
it
It
happen.
was such a blast.
Exactly.
No, thank you so much again. Thank you for sharing. And I feel a part two. Almost, this is probably almost 2 or 3 parts, this one, but I feel a part two after, like, you get going with the boat. Like, I totally, like, yeah. And I can't wait to see the videos and all of that. That, I mean, that's going to be a whole nother.
Yeah, and
You're
Like,
gonna come on board
anybody
once the
wants to
boat is there.
follow the build, the second channel is Naughty Guys and the UTI Guys. So
Yeah.
if you want to see the whole process of the build that we're following on that second channel,
If you want to follow me on my OnlyFans, the link will be in the bottom here. No, I'm just joking.
yes,
now
so
we know.
Yeah.
there's a lot more exciting content coming to the Naughty Guys channel with obviously the boat launch and everything that's to come. So yeah,
Naughty
follow
Guys,
us,
Naughty
follow us
Styles.
along besides the NaughtiStyles first channel.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so
us.
much for doing this.
Have a
Yes.
great day. We're gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just getting started. All right.
Talk to you later.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.